Like Banque Populaire, like Edmond de Rothschild, like Oman Air, and now we have at last getting moving, having unfurled that massive black fractional jib, is Spindrift Racing with Yann Guichet and Donna Bertarelli on Spindrift Racing, and she just comes around. As I say, they sort of start to generate their own wind as they speed up, and we heard Dee Cavari saying the other day, we had an interview with her, and she was saying they're so fast normally that you're always going upwind, even downwind. They're so quick that the apparent wind comes right forward all the time, so you spend most of your time going upwind, and you tend to be wearing full foul weather gear most of the time as well.
Banque Populaire with a bowman there on the centre hull, on the blue and white from the Royal Yacht Squadron in the most prestigious 8 minutes, as we would say, in all of racing in the sailing world, and that is Cowes Castle, the Royal Yacht Squadron, and the Solent stretching out before it, this line taking up a lot of sails.
Is going to start later. She just decides it's time to get to the line. Now, of course, it's all very well for these
getting racing in the sailing world
in the open 60s, but you imagine manoeuvring 131 feet of trimaran that's about sort of 80 or 90 feet wide through these through this rather crowded waterway. So it's quite a tricky exercise to do. I don't think it's something I'd like to do. I think you'd have your heart in your mouth all the time. It'd be quite scary.
And lots of spectator boats out with you there, Dick, so pretty hard to police that, as always.
Yeah, there's ribs everywhere now. Everybody's coming out and getting ready. Let's hope they all stay safe. But, the Spindrift Racing heading down towards the Royal Yacht Squadron. Most of the smaller boats in the fleet staying up here at the outer limit mark, together with Banque Populaire, just looking for Oman Sail. Oman Sail heading down with Spindrift Racing towards the island. The smaller boats prepare for the start. They're getting a bit closer to the line. Of course, they don't cover the ground, although multihulls are fairly quick in general. They don't cover the ground like 131 footers like Spindrift Racing. Got that massive black sail plan towering over everything in the Solent. Oman Sail just unfurling her headsail, getting ready, because it's the 5-minute gun has just gone. We didn't get a gun there.
No.
But they would have given the signal over VHF radio anyway.
And a collection of multicoloured sails. We can say Oman Air with the blue sails, and taking part in Cowes Week earlier on.
Just looking for Group Edmond de Rothschild. Oh, I've lost her. Oh, she's right behind me. Banque Populaire starting to come in towards the line. Group Edmond Rothschild, or Gitana 15 is there as well. So that's interesting. Are they a minute out on their timing? Well, that's strange. That's on my watch. That's 11:56.
I think I agree, but that's the gun, and that's an interesting one, isn't it?
Very interesting. Because are they going to go at 12 o'clock on the dot, or are they going to go in 5 minutes' time? That's be 1 minute past 12. Very strange. That is. I wonder who. Well, I don't know. We're only guessing out here, as the two MOD 70s, Oman Air and Group Edmond de Rothschild, manoeuvre past each other right out by the pin end, whereas Spindrift is going to give the spectators on the green and the parade a bit of a view, I think, as Banque Populaire comes past us.
Yes.
Their headsail out.
The preparatory signal is with 4 minutes to go.
Ah, right.
And there's there'll be a 1 minute signal as well. So that's the slight difference to the other starts we're used to here at the squadron. Warning signal with 10 minutes to go, and then the preparatory signal with 4 minutes to go.
Ah, so they're using the more modern version of the start sequence, which is 4-1 go. So right, so that's why we've got that difference there.
This is Fastnet Radio, 87.7 FM here in Cowes and 87.9 FM in Plymouth. Also online, fastnetradio.co.uk, and for the live web stream pictures, if you are near a computer, do log on to fastnet.rorc.org for the pictures from the air and also from the shore here in Cowes. Many people now watching from the Esplanade and the Green too. It's going to be a fantastic sight.
Welcome listeners to BBC Radio Solent to the start of the Rolex Fastnet Race 2013, and we've had the first two guns for the multihulls, the first start here in the sunshine. We've just got about 7.5, 8 knots of wind, which is picked up a little bit from earlier on, but the sight we're watching in the sunshine is the massive new French trimarans. We have Banque Populaire heading down towards the Isle of Wight, towards the Royal Yacht Squadron. In front of her with a towering black sailplan is Spindrift Racing, sailed by Jean Guichard and Donna Bertarelli. Now they set a record last year of only just over, last race rather, in 2011, of only just over a day, 30 odd hours they took to get round, and I don't know if there'll be any records this year. I doubt it. The winds are going to be fairly light. Behind me, as I manoeuvre near the line, as the hooter goes for 1 minute to the start, the first start of Rolex Fastnet Race 2013. There is Oman sail, Oman Air, the MOD 70 trimaran. She's right at the limit mark of the start, in amongst the traffic. Next to her is a lot of the smaller trimarans and smaller catamarans, which are cruising boats racing in this class. They're going to take a little bit of time to get round, but the big multi-hulls, they're going to rush round there in just a couple of days, I should think. So Sydney Gavinier with Oman Air, with Neil MacDonald from Hamble on board. He's one of the leading lights in this sort of racing, and Neil is probably standing next to Sydney and sort of whispering in his ear. And as 10 seconds go to the start, the race officers call 10 seconds, the Oman Air boat comes in right close to the line, the gun goes, they're all clear. And who's going to be the first across? Banque Populaire in the middle of the line. She's staying out of the way. She was a little bit behind the line, now catching up, but Oman Air first over. They're accelerating now with an increasing wind, and the spray just flying gently from her bows as she overtakes some of the smaller catamarans. The huge Spindrift Racing has gone right into the Isle of Wight to give spectators down there probably the best possible view of this incredible 131-foot boat. Overhead helicopters with cameramen and photographers, but it's all eyes on the big trimaran Spindrift as she comes right in by the Royal Yacht Squadron, and she'll be zooming past the shore very soon, building up speed. In my rigid inflatable dinghy boat, we're still doing 8 knots in about 7 knots of wind, so it shows how these trimarans generate their own breeze. Oman Air tacks. She's going to go for the mainland shore. The tide is against these boats slightly, so they have to be a little bit careful and try and get as maximum advantage as possible and stay out of the way. Well, we've got a whole string of starts to go through, and there's boats everywhere. This is the biggest ever Rolex Fastnet Race. And so now for the boats with 611 nautical miles ahead of them, the race has begun.
Oman Air underway, and a flotilla of motorboats now following these multi-hulls out to the west, to the Needles, to the Lizard, to the Land's End and the Fastnet Rock. But of course the motorboats won't be going quite so far as that, but these multi-hulls will, and let's see what time they can do in these conditions, and indeed when they're going to meet in the centre of the Solent, because Spindrift starting in here at the squadron with its black sails, and the others starting further out.
Yeah, I think Oman Air with Neil McDonald probably calling the shots. He knows the Solent very well. He's decided to try and work that slacker tide on the mainland side, whereas Safran has probably, Spindrift has probably gone for the reverse eddy that you get along the Medina, comes out of the Medina and heads along to the west. So I think that's what they've gone for. But those huge black sails now going past, coming down to Egypt Point, and behind them Banque Populaire with her blue sails. In the middle of the line it's Group Edmond de Rothschild, and then behind me at the outer limit mark, tacking into the mainland, all the smaller catamarans, the cruising and cruiser racer catamarans, but all eyes of course on the massive trimarans. And
it really is a lucky thing to be here in Cowes watching this, and the trimarans heading off on their race. Well, we maybe do with a little bit more breeze, but they're going along nicely, aren't they? And it really is a very sleek looking mean machine, Spindrift, with the record of course with 32 hours, as you were saying, 48 minutes and 46 seconds 2 years ago in the last Rolex Fastnet Race. Spindrift Racing heading off on its race there, as the helicopters buzz above and the motorboats chase it, churning up the Solent behind Spindrift. It was pretty tricky for them at the start. They had to bear away and get through quite a few spectator boats just to be able to turn around and then start over the line.
Yeah, they were in a bit of a crowded area. Banque Populaire, quite a late start for her. She only just crossed the line, I think. Prince de Bretagne, Prince of Brittany anyway, with her fruit on the sail. She's going in towards the mainland.
Yeah, Banque Populaire.
Sorry, no, Banque Populaire not across yet.
No, they're just unfurling their jib again. They just, when they stop, they really do stop, don't they? And
yeah.
Now just picking up speed again, and when they go, they really do go. But it's that tricky in-between bit.
The in-between bit, and interestingly, talking about in-between bits, Group Edmond de Rothschild has found some breeze in the middle of the Solent, and she's now just about flying her main hull as we come down to northeast Gurnard Buoy. But Oman Air with her turquoise sails down by Stansaw Point, followed by a bunch of ribs of spectators. She's got a big lead over Gitana 15, Group Edmond de Rothschild. And in fact, I think if they were going to go all the way to the centre of the Solent, I think Oman Air would actually be ahead of Spindrift Racing. But Spindrift Racing is by far the bigger boat. She's going to carry her speed right towards the mainland. I think they decided the tide is probably eased enough that they can go down the middle of the Solent. But Oman Air got a cracking lead over Gitana 15, Group Edmond de Rothschild. And we're following her at about 10 knots. And we've only got 10 knots, well, we've got 9 knots of wind. So they generate their own breeze, these boats.
It's an absolute flotilla of motorboats following these multi-hulls out there, isn't it? Right across the Solent, with helicopters getting some great shots too. Banque Populaire is now underway, and it's got to hurry up, try and catch them up.
Yeah, they'll be hoping for a lot more wind, I think.
Oman Air just flying a hull, and we're about to get the 5-minute gun now. 5-minute gun for the Amoca 60. So
4-minute gun. I've got to actually get back to them because we want to see their stuff.
You're absolutely right. I've got to get used to this 4-minute preparatory. 4 minutes to go until the Amoca 60s start. And 6 of the world's very best solo skippers here taking part in this, including Hugo Boss skipper Alex Thompson and Francois Gabert on Massif. Hugo Boss is pretty easy to spot. It's the black Monohull, and Massif has got a lot of blue, hasn't it?
Yeah, blue and green on the sails, massive up there, and of course the silver hull of Hugo Boss with those black sails with Boss in great silver letters on them. Now Alex Thompson, he has a habit of doing some sailing in a very smart Hugo Boss suit, but he was he's wearing his foul weather gear today, much more sensible.
Multi-hulls away, and they were grinding away on Oman Air. Banque Populaire doesn't have the boat speed of the others at the moment, but then again it's still trying to get out to where that breeze is. Oman Air just going along really nicely. In the background we can see Spindrift. They're sort of coming together, and Oman Air does seem to have the advantage, doesn't it?
Well, I think when they came, I thought they were going to cross, but Oman Air tacked.
They're tacking, yeah. So they're going to have to go round the stern of Spindrift. So there we are, the first tack, and lots of spectator ribs there, which we'll have to make sure they steer clear of the racing yacht, with just over 2 minutes to go until the start of the monohulls, the Mocha 60s.
Yeah, and we have